we now welcome our first panel discussion for the afternoon session. Now, with consumer trends evolving and markets more welcoming, the following experts will share their insights in rethinking equity in Asian real estate. Let's welcome on stage our experts. We have our moderator, Dr. Naijia Lee, the head of real estate intelligence PropertyGuru Group, Anton Warman, founder and CEO, Anton in Japan Media and Japandi House as real estate advisor and creator. We have Dr. Jing Yu, Deputy Chief, Bangkok Program Office, UN Habitat. And we have Marie Novita, co-founder and president director of Miliki Ruma. And Dr. Tan T. Koon, Executive Counsel, Singapore Institute of Estate Agents, or SIEA, Managing Director, Corporate Affairs, Knight Frank.
Okay. Welcome. So today, everyone will be talking about rethinking equity, right, in Asian real estate markets. Now, we are not talking about how much loan we want to take, but really talking about equality, affordability, accessibility, right? Okay, so now is for the questions. Now, pardon me, I need to scroll a bit. Yes. Okay, we start with looking at consumer trends and the demand shifts in the Asian markets. And today we have this wonderful panel of various different experience and backgrounds. Now, Anton, you analyze demand patterns across Japan and among foreign and younger buyers. Based on the behavioral shifts you are seeing, what consumer trends do you believe will significantly shape property demand across Asia in the coming years?
Thank you, Mr. Lee, and thank you, PropertyGuru, for having me here in Bangkok. Consumer trends, I believe that I operate and live in Tokyo, Japan, and what I've seen changing for the past few years is the accessibility, not only language-wise, but also culturally. And I think a big impact is social media, and that information is more accessible than ever. Not only AI, but also how content kind of translates between cultures. And yeah, the world is getting smaller and smaller, and it's easier to access these kind of hidden deals and these cultural kind of projections that wasn't so easily to understand prior. And I think this is going to kind of accelerate, and it's going to be easier and easier to access previously hard to get information. And that's a trend that I see and that I think is going to evolve even further.
Very interesting. I remember the last time we discussed about Japan market is that, it's quite opaque, it's quite difficult to find information. Now, given these new norms, right, how should developers and policymakers prepare for this kind of new consumer expectations because they have more information now?
I think the market is shifting, especially like Japan as a country has a declining population, but the tourism is booming and the amount of foreigners is growing quite rapidly, which gives a lot of policy changes to the Japanese politics that I don't really want to talk about that, but I want to talk a little bit about the consumer and the final customer is changing. And the real estate market in Japan, especially Tokyo, is very dynamic, it's very niche. And I think developers need to have, not in every case, but in certain cases, a kind of a different customer in mind. What I see around me is many foreigners, many younger Japanese people are interested in, who's previously been renting. They want to buy something, but many people like design, and people don't want to live in a cookie cutter kind of like a house with no windows, and so more design-centered accommodations. And if that could be made at a lower budget, a lower cost, I think that's something. Yeah, the final customer in mind. If a developer has the final customer in mind, I think everybody is happy in the end.
Very interesting. It means that we will have to think about how to create that personalized kind of experience think about experiential effect, for different niches. Now, when we think about expectations, right, it also brings us back to this broader issue also of who get access to housing and who gets left behind. And Dr. Yu, you probably have a lot of research and you also work a lot on the initiatives. Now, affordability gaps continue to widen across Asian cities. And from your work at UN Habitat, what kind of policy tools or planning models have been most effective in ensuring the vulnerable and low-income households can still access opportunity-rich urban areas?
Thank you, Sawadee. I just come to Thailand for about half a year, and recently we got a lot of research. Our UN Habitat Thailand office has been existing for more than 10 years, and we do a lot of research in Thai, especially also in the Asia Pacific and in Asia cities. We know that the housing increasing is out of the reach. According to our SDG report for 2025, there are in Asia the housing cost annually is about 35% occupy the household income, and that is more higher than the European and North America. That's equal to 25% for the household income. Further about the house, about affordable crisis is more dangerous. For in Asia, there are about 700 million people still living in the slum or in informal settlement. That's equal to the 60% world slum drawer in our Asia. This kind of the communities is short of the community facility, in security tunnel, and also the cannot got the slum upgrade. This kind of the communities is not for the roof for living. It's an opportunity for better life and a better future. To achieve this, our UN Habitat 2026 and 2029 strategic plan is focused on the housing, land, and basic service for all. We were working with the member states to supply the security tunnels and basic services for the all. And there are some useful tool for this kind of situation to improve. First is TOD. That means concentrating the housing, jobs, and services around with a high quality public transportation. That means make invariable communities to equally accessible mobility. Just like Thai, we're working with the BMA, Bangkok Metropolitan Administration, to make the accessible, affordable community transportation. And this project is supported by the Thai and the UK PET program.
Yeah, that is actually a very interesting thought. When we think about urbanization, right, land values always go up because there's more people. Everybody wants to be accessible to their jobs. So, given that, right, how can cities administrations, right, protect those low-income communities when we see the land values appreciate very rapidly, or there's a lot of redevelopment going on? What should governments take note of?
That's a good question. I think that is the most powerful tool is land value capture. That is means the portal for the public investment can get back to the affordable house, slum upgrading, community facilities. The government can use a lot of the mechanism for guard this, such as development fee and also the public land lease for long term. And also we use these kind of things to protect the vulnerable communities. For say in the future, the next year, Baku or UN Habitat will hold 13 World Urban Forum. The theme is housing the world safe and resilient for the city and the communities.
Thank you for sharing. Now, policies provide the foundation, right? But market system must also evolve, particularly in large youthful markets like Indonesia. Marine, I'm always very inspired by your work at Miliki Rumah. You know, Miliki Rumah supports young Indonesians navigating steep barriers to deposits and home financing. What do you see as the biggest structural obstacles preventing more equitable access to home ownership today?
Thank you, Najia. Hi, everyone. My name is Marin. I'm come from Miliki Rumah. I used to work at PropertyGuru too, together with Najia and also Mr. TK here. Together with my co-founder, we built Miliki Rumah, solving the biggest pain point in Indonesia related home ownership. So currently, right, if you talk about Indonesia, it's a big market. But now in Indonesia itself, we have 9.9 million people that's supposed to have houses that they don't have house right now. The reason is, we have many reasons. One of the thing is related with the workforce in Indonesia. We have 60% workforce work under informal sector, meaning they don't have a fixed income. They don't record their, expand their income into the bank account statement. So it's hard for them to apply mortgage because bank cannot see that, right, in their bank account. The other thing, we also have this buy now, pay later. I think right now the number is 15 million under buy now, pay later. And half of them is below 30 years old. And it's now is a 5% non-performing loan, right? And compare with other market in Southeast Asia, we have the lowest, people that are bankable. I think the number is around 23%, right? So all of this problem, right, we need a solution to help all these consumer that currently would like to buy their dream house, but they're being rejected by the bank. Yeah, so that's pretty much Indonesia market right now.
Yeah, so I understand how your company is now trying to help all these young buyers, right? You see many financing models. So which new financing models actually show the most promise for expanding this access for first-time home buyers?
Okay, thanks, Najia. So again, right now to help this kind of consumer, right, especially for this non-fixed income, bank still work in a traditional way, which is they only want to see, okay, they would like to serve fixed income only, or they would like to see people who has all the transaction into their bank account, right? But to deal with this non-fixed income, they cannot. So what we are trying to do here, Miliki Rumah, we built a bridge from to help all these underbanked or these unbankable people or this non-fixed income consumer who would like to buy a property. They need to follow or they need to enter into our rent-to-own program. So this rent-to-own program, right, they will build up their payment capacity through paying their monthly rental, paying their monthly equity. So all this, payment record, right, is like a proof to the bank that this consumer actually, they have the ability, they have the capacity to pay the mortgage at the end of the day. So right now we are very proud. We are partnering with local bank in Indonesia and also some foreign bank in Indonesia as our partner. After this consumer go to our rent-to-own program for 6 months or even until 12 months, if they can build their payment record, they can pay the monthly installment on time. this kind of consumer can go exit to the bank, become mortgage bank.
Very nice,
Yeah.
very nice. Yeah, yeah. It's very interesting because nowadays we see more and more people going towards, gig economy. There were more young people now doing more gigs. Now, but access alone, right, isn't enough, right? Trust in the marketplace is very important. And this is where agents play a very defining role. Now, Dr. Tan, right, as market cycles shift and consumers become more discerning, how can property agents strengthen the trust, whether through transparent pricing, ethical conduct, or more responsible communication, both offline and online?
Thanks for the question, Naija. But quite unlike you, I don't have terabytes of brain power. Mine is a borderline gigabyte. So I have to write down my responses. And I want to clarify that I speak from the context of the Singapore real estate agency profession. As market cycles shift and consumers become more discerning, trust becomes the true currency of our industry. Property agents can strengthen trust in three meaningful ways. The first is transparent pricing is a given. Clear, well-reasoned pricing supported by data rather than hype signals that the agent is committed to fairness, not merely the fastest transaction. Secondly, ethical conduct that stands firm even when the market is soft. In challenging cycles, the temptation to stretch the truth or over-promise can quietly creep in. But clients remember integrity far longer than any market swings. Ethical behavior, such as declaring conflicts, respecting boundaries, and prioritizing clients' interests, builds reputational capital that outlasts any cycle. The third is this: responsible communication, both offline and online. The modern consumer checks, double checks, and screens every message. Overstated claims, fear-based narratives, and sensationalist content may attract clicks, but ultimately weakens trust. Agents who communicate responsibly, grounded in facts, the right context, and respect are the ones whose voices will remain credible. So in shifting markets, trust isn't built by louder marketing. It's built by quieter discipline. Agents who prioritize transparency, uphold ethics, and communicate responsibly don't just survive cycles, they become the steady ground that clients rely on when the landscape is changing.
Thanks, that's very nice. Yeah, don't worry, I also don't have tetrabytes. It's just that I'm on 6G. No, I'm still on 5G. But maybe just to a follow-up, right? Then what must change in training or agency standards to ensure more equitable experience for buyers and sellers? You don't want, the low income to have very bad experiences, the high income have white glove treatment. How do we narrow that gap?
Yeah, I wonder why you always ask me the difficult questions. Yeah.
Because
Well,
okay.
Jokes aside, to ensure more equitable experiences for both buyers and sellers, the industry needs to rethink how we train agents and how we uphold agency standards. I would suggest 3 shifts in order to make a meaningful difference. Firstly, we need to elevate training beyond just a fixed syllabus or entry syllabus. And I'm saying that we need to elevate the agents' learning to competence. And this is what I mean. Many agents know how to pass exams. And that's why in Singapore we have 37,000 of them. Once they pass the exams, they are eligible to be a salesperson, all things being equal. But what I feel they lack, and this is not a criticism of them, but more of the syllabus, is real-world mastery in valuation, negotiation, regulatory frameworks, and client advisory. And to create fairness, training must include deeper valuation literacy so that pricing advice is objective and not opportunistic. Scenario-based negotiations that teach agents to balance competing interests ethically. Strong or stronger consumer protection modules, especially around vulnerable clients and high-stakes decisions. So competence will reduce the power imbalance between experienced agents and less informed clients. Next, we need to strengthen agency standards with real accountability. Equity is impossible if enforcement is weak or inconsistent. Agencies must move towards clearer disclosure standards, especially regarding conflict of interest, auditable service processes, ensuring agents follow minimum steps for due diligence, price substantiation, and documentation, performance indicators that are tied to service quality, not just transaction volume. The third is embedding communication ethics as a core professional skill. Miscommunication, whether through overpromising, selective sharing, or online sensationalism, creates asymmetry and inequity. You know, there is this term that we often see in agents advertise, fire sale, which I feel is an abomination on communication ethics. One could use the phrase, for example, motivated seller instead. At the heart of it, equitable experiences stem from one principle: reduce information asymmetry and raise professional accountability.
Okay, thanks for your answer. Sorry for the difficult question. Yeah, I look you very high up. That's why.
I'm not very tall.
Okay. Now, we heard about the trends, right? Policy, assets, and trust. But let us connect all these teams, among all these different stakeholders, big and small. So maybe to Marine. In many Southeast Asian markets, we know that large developers dominate. What needs to change to give smaller developers or cooperatives a more equal playing field? What do you think?
Can you repeat the last part, Nadia?
So generally, we see that in a lot of our markets, the size of the developer matters because they have more capital, they are able to ride through all the different risks. But what needs to change to give the smaller developers or cooperatives a more equal playing field? How can they reposition themselves based on your experience?
Okay, thanks for the question, Nadia. So I guess if we look the market at Indonesia, right? Usually the big developer they have their own field, and then the middle up developer they also focusing on different market. Usually, I should admire this middle low developer. Even they are they are not like we call it like first tier developer, but I'm not doubt in terms of they running their business the way they're so focused in providing solution. So currently in Indonesia, right, we have this. To be honest, our president Pak Prabowo, he has this 3 million ambitious houses to be built on a yearly basis. And we have developer that focusing only to, we call it like affordable houses. The target this year itself to build 350,000 houses. But this is very for only affordable houses. Yeah. Last year we managed to deliver to provide 200,000 around 220,000. But this year itself, the government tried to achieve 350,000 houses for all for the affordable houses. But again, I think what we see to this middle low developer, they are very focusing in terms of providing what the consumer in that fall into their segment. For example, like these affordable houses, they created a house. It's very cheap actually. I don't know it's a 170 million rupiah. How much is that in Sing dollar, TK? It's very, very cheap lah. Yeah, but again, I think their commitment providing a good material, a good public facility, so all these people, even this is like affordable houses, they still can enjoy it. They can enjoy it. Then they're not enjoying the house, but also they're enjoying the facility. And from the government also provided like a way for this kind of consumer to be able to pay their mortgage.
Thanks. Yeah. Then, as we think about it, right, this is on more of the developer side, but then there's also the buyer side, right? Now, maybe this is a question to Antoine. That given the uncertain economic environment, buyers are likely to be, very skittish. And then you have the young property buyers, right? That coming into the world, coming into the markets. How are they going to cope? I mean, with all this uncertainty, and then you see prices could go up, could go down. Construction costs, renovation costs could go up and down.
So from a Japanese perspective, like I'm not Japanese, but I live and operate in Japan, in Tokyo, where property prices have been relatively stable for the past 30 years, basically. I'm originally from Sweden, where prices have been skyrocketing for a very long time. New York, London, basically any big metropolitan has been, prices have gone kind of out of hand. And I know right now, the market of Japan is getting more accessible for even foreign investors and young people. So people are searching for other options, since they cannot afford to buy or even rent in their own countries. So I see a higher demand not only from foreign investors, but also younger Japanese people who wants to invest in their own first house, and not only to give like a return on investment, but the investment to have a nice home, a home that you like, a home that you can be more productive in, that you can sleep well in. And from many years of traveling on my own, whenever I've had a home I really liked, like it just elevated, and maybe not financially, but it elevated my own lifestyle. And with that comes a lot of plus on the sides as well. Did that answer the question?
Yeah. So it's very interesting, because when you think about investment, right, it's not only financial aspect, but also the emotional kind of investments into it. And I think that is very meaningful, because for developers today, right, then they will have to think about how do they make a home that is not only enticing for them, and how do they personalize it and create that part.
Adding character to a house, a home. I think that's what, adding character and making it your own, I think that's the difference between a house and a home. A home is your home where you feel at home, and a house can be any hotel room or something with a little bit less character, I believe.
Nice. So as we see that the population become more diverse, where people want to be more authentic, we always hear the word authenticity. But at the same time, we see digital innovations going at a very fast pace. Now, Dr. Yu, how can governments utilize technology and data transparency responsibly, so that digital tools, right, rather than widen this equity gap? Because on the one hand, right, we have data transparency, but we also realize that digital divide is getting wider, right? Especially low income, they don't have access to handphones or digital device. They may be out of the market. So how then can governments play a role here?
Thank you. For the we have witnessed that rapid achievement for the government to deliver the services for digital tools, but still have a lot of challenges about that. The most important thing is that the digital devices, there are about 2.7 billion population in the world is still facing cannot get affordable internet connection. That also that they facing about more people facing about that shortage of the digital literacy, affordable infrastructure. So especially in the emerging economic countries is facing that the public infrastructure digitally is not keep pacing with the emergency economic. And for the achieve this, UN Habitat approach, people-centered smart city approach. That means we ensure is equally to access the digital infrastructure for the all. And we have some example from the Seoul, and they have the government provide a platform with digital multi-sector data with transportation, disaster responsibility, and also the basic services, and to make citizens can be participant the city planning digitally and also participate the community program. So that means if the technical really meet the people need, they can be achieved the transparency and equally.
Thanks. Now, Dr. Tan, now we look from the agent's perspective or from an industry point of view, right? Of course, we talk about trust just now. But of course, with PropTech, things may change very fast, right? So what safeguards or standards must the private sector adopt to ensure the PropTech innovation enhance transparency, consumer protection, and fairness?
Before I answer that question, I just wanted to respond to Marine. 170 million rupiah, 13,260 Sing dollars.
Okay.
Right.
So
it took a while for me to find out how many zeros are there.
Oh, yours is on 5G also.
Anyway, coming back to your question, right?
Yes.
Innovation alone isn't the benchmark of progress. Responsible innovation is. And to achieve this, several safeguards and standards have to be adopted. And in the interest of time, I'll share two. First, data accuracy and auditability as baseline requirements. PropTech tools that automate valuations, that match buyers to listings or analyze market trends must be held to verifiable standards. So algorithms should be auditable with documented methodologies. Data sources must be disclosed, especially when they influence pricing or investment decisions. Regular third-party validation should be mandatory to prevent systemic bias or inaccuracies. Without these guardrails, automated tools can mislead consumers instead of empowering them. The second suggestion I have is transparent digital marketing and listing standards. Online property platforms should adopt clearer rules around authentic listing information, so there's no ghosts, or in our part of the world, we call them dummy or fake listings, no recycled photos, no ambiguous pricing. Mandatory disclosure of material facts such as tenure or even land zoning, standardized description templates to reduce manipulation or selective framing. Digital exposure raises expectations, so digital standards must also rise.
Okay, thanks. I realize we have 1 minute and 30 seconds. So to close, let us look forward, okay? One sentence each. What would an inclusive, future-ready, and equitable real estate market look like in 2026, and what's the single change you most want to see? Let's start with you.
Me?
Yeah.
I think working with the community, working with everything around that's going on. I don't think you can build a Burj Arab in like a 2-story area. Like I think you need to kind of adapt to the area where you're trying to develop and where you try to. Of course, you can add character and build something unique and cool, but I think that you need to take the environment and the community and have that in mind, whatever you build.
Nice.
Whatever you develop.
Nice one sentence. Okay, Dr. Yu.
When we rebuild home, we rebuild hope.
Hope. Nice. Marine.
Okay, for me, a home is a human right? And we are talking about a home, meaning that related also with home ownership, and home ownership is a complex one, right? So let's build a solution that can help all these consumers, so they can have their dream house. Doing something like this in Indonesia Indonesia is a challenging market. So if we can do this in Indonesia, we also can do this in other market. Thanks.
Okay, less than 1 second.
For me, is one where transparent data, ethical practices, and consumer-centered technology converge, driven by an industry-wide commitment to accountability as the single most important change.
Thank you, Dr. Tan. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the panelists, for this very insightful discussion. Thank you.